Supreme Court fixes March 2nd to review its judgment in Zamfara State. Senate President calls for unity to address the country challenges. The Emir of Kano has called on Northerners to address the myriad of challenges facing them. On business, while $60 billion claim against IOCS is hard to sell, says NNPC. On sport, Manchester United defeats Chelsea for the third time this season. And on the international scene, the EFCC asked the United Kingdom to extradite a former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Dizani Alison Madueke. Welcome to Standard Voice Television News. My name is Samira Ibrahim. Now the news in full. The Supreme Court on Tuesday fixed March 2nd to review its judgment that sacked all candidates of the All Progressives Congress APC that won various positions in Zamfara State in the March 2019 general elections. A 5-man panel of Justice of the Apex Court, headed by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Tanko Muhammad, adjourned hearing of the application for a review of a judgment after it noted that some of the parties were not served. The fresh application was brought by a faction of the APC led by a former governor of the state, Alhaji Abdul Aziz Yari. Counsel of the applicant, Chief Robert Clark's son, said his clients are challenging the verdict of the Apex Court on the basis of its consequential orders that handed victory to candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the state, which he said rendered the entire judgment a nullity. CGL-led panel also adjourns Ihedio's fresh application till March 2nd. The applicant argued that reliefs the Supreme Court granted in favor of the PDP and its candidate was extraneous to issues that aggrieved members of the APC brought before it for adjudication. In their fresh application, they argued that the consequential orders made by the court in 5 appeal has made non-parties to the appeal to unjustifiably benefit from the outcome of the appeal, contrary to age-long decided authorities by this same court, hence asking these non-parties to reap from where they never sowed. That the teeming electorate in Zamfara State have been unfairly and unjustifiably denied or deprived of their natural or ordinary outcome of the votes cast by them. However, Chief Mike Okehome San, who appeared for the Senator Kabiru Marafa-led faction of the APC in Zamfara State, told the Apex Court that he filed a preliminary objection to challenge the competence of the fresh application.
But our main case before the Supreme Court is that we are not asking that they should review their judgment. That is not what we are asking. We accept their judgment. But what we are saying is that the consequential orders they made thereto or therefrom were made out of jurisdiction and they were a nullity. And if they were made out of jurisdiction and they are a nullity, we have to restore.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) was cited as the 176th respondent in the matter. President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has said for Nigeria to surmount the challenges bedeviling it, all leaders in the country must, as a matter of urgency, come together to ensure that the security and welfare needs of the people are adequately met. According to Lawal, Nigeria is at a point where the provision of infrastructure alone by government cannot sufficiently address the undying cause of growing insecurity and illiteracy in the country. The Senate President made this known in a speech delivered at the 60th birthday celebration of Governor Nasir El-Rufai and presentation of the book, These Times, Selected Writings and Speeches by Nasir El-Rufai in Kaduna on Monday. He noted that those of them in leadership positions need to have the courage and commitment to protect the interests of the people. Mr. Ahmad Lawal said Nigeria is at a crossroad and required the unity of the people. He said the issues bedeviling Nigeria today requires that all leaders at all levels and in all parts of Nigeria need to come together. He lamented what is needed is not only infrastructure but the capacity building of the people. Mr. Ahmed Lawal therefore called on the federal government to immediately introduce policies that will return the over 13 million out-of-school children back to school so as to curb the rising number of illiteracy in Nigeria. The Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi, has said the Northerners are on the verge of destroying themselves if they fail to address the myriad challenges facing them. The Emir, who spoke at the 60th birthday of Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai in Kaduna on Monday, highlighted the main problems facing the region as poverty, millions of out-of-school children, malnutrition, drug abuse, al-Majri and the Boko Haram insurgency. The Emir, who insisted that no true northern Nigerian leader was happy with the problems, said the North should stop relying on quota system and federal character. He said the challenges facing the region must be addressed immediately. The traditional ruler said this a week after the World Bank in a report said 87% of the poor in the country resided in the north. The World Bank also described the Northwest as home to almost half of the all poor in the country. At El-Rufai's 60th birthday, Emir Sanusi singled out the Kaduna State Governor for praise, adding that El-Rufai investment in education will go a long way in addressing poverty. He called on the other northern elites to follow in the ex-minister of the Federal Capital Territory's footsteps. According to him, investing in education is the only way the region will save itself from the immediate destruction. The ex-governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria lamented that 87% of the country's poverty rate was in the north, with 9 states in the zone consisting almost 50% of the malnutrition burden of Nigeria. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, on Monday disagreed with students of tertiary institutions and women groups on the need to make a separate law to curb sexual harassment in the schools. ASU National President Professor Abiodun Ogunyemi and the groups made opposing submissions during a public hearing on the sexual harassment of students in tertiary educational institutions Prohibition Bill 2019 at the National Assembly in Abuja. The bill was sponsored by Deputy Senate President Obi Omo Agege. The event was organized by the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, chaired by Ofeyemi Bamidele. While Ogunyemi rejected the bill, the National Association of Nigerian Students (NANS) and other women rights advocacy groups at the session supported it. Senator Ogunyemi argued that it will amount to proliferation and repetition of legislations to make a separate law against sexual harassment in tertiary institutions. NANS National President, who was represented by the Director of Research, Strategy, Planning and Documentation, Victor Esin, said the power dynamics between students and lecturers predisposes female students of incessant sexual harassment. He said a committee set up by NANS National Executive on assumption of office had received over 2,000 complaints of sexual harassment of female students by lecturers. At a World Bank International Monetary Fund (IMF) forum held in February in Washington, David Malpass started the activities of the Asian Development Bank (ADB), the African Development Bank (AFDB), and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development (EBRD). His criticism of the AFDB specifically concerned Nigeria and South Africa, and he called for greater coordination among international financial institutions to coordinate lending and maintain high standards of transparency. On February 13th, it issued a press release denouncing the misleading and inaccurate statement which it said calls into question the integrity of the African Development Bank, undermines our system of governance, and wrongly insinuates that we operate according to different World Bank standards. The very notion runs counter to the spirit of multilateralism and our collaborative work. The World Bank went on to say, has much larger operations in Africa than the African Development Bank, citing that the Bretton Woods institution has approved $20.2 billion in financing in 2018, compared to $10.1 billion from the AFDB. The AFDB pointed out that Nigeria and South Africa have outstanding loans from the World Bank for fiscal year 2018 and of $8.3 billion and $2.4 billion respectively, and $2.1 billion and $2 billion from the AFDB. She added that the bank recognizes and closely follows the upward trend in debt. Thereby, there is no systematic risk of over-indebtedness. The lending policy and advisory services of these development institutions in their respective regions are often coordinated and offer better value for money to developing countries compared to other sources of financing. The AFDB statement said its AA status enables it to obtain financing on very comparative terms and to offer favorable conditions to its regional member countries, whose substantial financing needs remain vitally important. Wema Bank's managing director, Ademola Adebisi, and 5 other top officials of the bank are at risk of being slammed with committal orders for court disobedience, except they did obey Justice Chukwujiku Aneke's order for them to appear in court on Monday. The Federal High Court judge gave the order last week, demanding the defendants' presence at court on Monday in relation to a contempt suit that was earlier filed against them by the management of Heritage Bank plc. Heritage Bank plc had also filed similar garnishee suit against the Ondo State government and the State Attorney General, as well as a separate suit against Idanre Local Government Universal Basic Education Authority in Ondo State. The Heritage Bank some time ago won a court case against the Ondo State government and the State Attorney General. This was on the tune of 1 billion naira, and the state paid the sum of 6 million naira to the bank, remaining 400 million naira. In the same vein, Heritage Bank also obtained a court win against Idanre Local Government Universal Education Authority to the tune of 405.4 million naira. At this point, Wema Bank, with whom the Ondo State government had an account, deposed an affidavit saying that the Ondo State government had up to 745 million naira in its account. The court later required Wema Bank to pay the money to Heritage Bank, according to reporting by The Nation. Meanwhile, the affidavit, which was deposed by Wema Bank, had been attached on an order of NISI that Heritage Bank had obtained in an effort to ensure that both the Ondo State government and Heritage Bank comply with the court orders. Wema Bank tried to explain, saying that it will not comply with the court injunction because there was a notice of appeal and motion to stay of execution, which has been filed by the Ondo State government at the Court of Appeal. Apparently, this explanation fell on deaf ears because Heritage Bank made the court registrar issue Form 48 to Heritage Bank. The form served the purpose of notifying Wema Bank of the consequences of its disobedience of court, which is that it will become liable to pay the sum of 134 million naira. Increasingly, the order was still not obeyed by Wema Bank, thereby resulting in a further issuances of Form 49, which demanded that Wema Bank's top executives should appear in court and defend contempt charges brought against them or risk going to prison. In the meantime, counsel to Wema Bank had filed a petition seeking a stay of execution pending on appeal. On February 14th, the justice ruled that Wema Bank's MD, the company's chairman, Babatunde Kasali, and the deputy managing director, Moruf Osheni, must appear in court or risking jail terms. Others who were expected to appear before the justice are Wole Akilaye, Folake Sanu, and Johnson Lebile, who hold executive director and company secretary positions. The federal government has selected 6 northern states for the pilot phase of its open schooling program, OSP, which was launched in earlier 2019 in an open learning program aimed at reducing the high number of out-of-school children in the country. The beneficiaries, Kaduna, Katsina, Kebbi, Kano, Adamawa and Niger, are among the 10 states which, according to the United Nations Children Fund UNICEF, are worst hit by the problem. According to UNICEF, 8 million children are out of school in the 10 endemic states, which include Bauchi, Zamfara and the FCT. Meanwhile, 9 cooks with school feeding program absconded with 700,000 naira in Kaduna State. OSP, in a collaborative effort between the government through the Universal Basic Education Commission (UBEC) and the Commonwealth of Learning (COL), an educational development platform of the Commonwealth. News Agency of Nigeria (NANS) reports that 5-day workshop for OSP content developers and center managers opened in Abuja on Monday. Speaking at the event, the Executive Secretary of UBEC, Dr. Hamid Boboyi, said the intervention was informed by the government's concern about the high number of out-of-school children in the country. Represented by Mr. Edwin Jarumai, the UBEC boss said the program was designed to last for 2 years with an option for expansion. He added that UBEC will not relent in its series of efforts aimed at curbing the challenge. UBEC, as part of its statutory responsibility in the Act 2004 to put in place measures that will address the out-of-school children, OOSC initiative, enter into collaboration with COL to introduce the OSP in the country. He said a memorandum of understanding was signed between UBEC and COL in July 2019, and the agreement is for the program to last for 2 years with an option to extend. The UBEC boss added that 51 content developers had been selected for the program to run in 58 learning centers in the 6 states. He said the selection was made by the state in conjunction with relevant stakeholders like NACS, SUBEPS, Education Resources Centers, National Teachers Institute and universities. Dr. Tony Mills, consultant COL, said that the whole idea was the importance of e-learning and to help children get back to school. We'll be right back after this short commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back on Business. Over to Fauzia.
Hello there, welcome to Business Desk. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has disclosed that the claim that international oil companies operating in Nigeria owe the federal government the sum of $60 million is hard to succeed. The $60 million claim, which is with respect to the production sharing contract, was said to have been lost to the delay in the review of the PSC law after the price of oil rose above the $20 stipulated by the law. President Muhammadu Buhari has signed the bill that amended the Deep Offshore Inland Basin Production Sharing Contracts Act after the passage by the National Assembly. Speaking on the development, the Chief Operating Officer upstream NNPC, Roland Uwubare, said legal experts have stated that the claim can't be recovered. According to Uwubare, the legal expert said the NNPC and the Nigerian government has the right to ask for the payment but slept on the opportunity. But in reports by the Punch, the NNPC top executive said the corporation has on its part tried to recover the fund. However, he revealed that the money wasn't what we lost, but the opportunity to make the money, adding that making a legal claim would be difficult. Mr. Uwubare said the second position was that what we really lost was not qualifiable dollar and cent or naira and kobo, but the opportunity to make that money, and that is hard to make a legal claim that was succeeded in the basis of an opportunity that we lost. He added that the steps taken by NNPC to salvage the situation prove that recovering such amount isn't as easy as expected. At the arbitration, NNPC had won against ESO Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited, and they are going on appeal. So clawing back that money is not quite a straightforward affair. Still on the business news, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) on Monday disclosed that together with its joint venture JV partners, Shell Petroleum Development Company (SPDC), Total Exploration and Production of Nigeria (TEPNG), and Nigerian Oil Company (NAOC) has disbursed $360 million for the cleanup of Ogoniland. In a statement in Abuja, the NNPC explained that the disbursement of the fund followed the recommendation of the United Nations Environment Programme (UENEP). Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Malam Meli Kyari, who stated that the National Assembly, during a representation of the House of Representatives Committee on Environment and Habitat, stated that funding was not a challenge to clean up of Ogoniland. Mr. Kyari, who was represented by the NNPC Chief Operating Officer Upstream, Mr. Roland Owubare, stressed that NNPC and its JV partners were up to date to their financial remittance to the Clean Up Project Fund based on the United Nations Environment Programme (UENEP) framework. He said Ogoni cleanup is a massive issue and NNPC and its JV partners are ready to fund the project as prescribed by the UNEP reports. Mr. Kyari said so far, the NNPC has disbursed $260 million out of the $900 million recommended, and the disbursement was based on the standard set, which required that they release funds based on the implementation parameter of the cleanup exercise. He noted that true NNPC and its JV partners were not responsible for the implementation of the cleanup. All stakeholders must come together to ensure that the project was carried out successfully. Mr. Kyari added that the implementation of the cleanup was very important as the exercise would enable the restoration of land, water, and economic well-being of the people in the area. He decried the misinformation about the Ogoni land cleanup and urged the hydrocarbon pollination remediation project, HYPREP, to ensure that the narrative was corrected for the effective implementation of the project. A member of the House Committee, who was a former Minister of Environment, Ms. Aishatu Jibril Dukko, appealed to the NNPC and its JV partners for the commitment of the Ogoni clean-up project and urged all other stakeholders to join hands with HYPREP to ensure successful clean-up of the area. That's all on business updates. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Fauzia. On spot, over to Abu Sufyan.
Hello, welcome to Standard Voice Television Sports Room. I am Abu Sufyan Abubakar, and as usual, I bring the sports updates. Manchester United defeated Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on Monday night to make it 3 straight wins against the Blues this season. The match ended 2-0 in favour of the visiting side. Anthony Martial scored the opener in the 45th minute before Harry Maguire doubled United's lead mid into the second half. Controversies were all over the match, with Chelsea denied 2 good goals after VAR checks, one a header by Curtis Zuma and another a flying header by Olivier Giroud. As said earlier, this is the third time United are defeating Frank Lampard's Chelsea after already beating them 4-0 in the opening EPL fixture of the season and another 2-1 victory in the Carabao Cup. Frank Lampard will hope Chelsea comes back to winning ways before next week's UEFA Champions League clash with Bayern Munich. UEFA Champions League action is back this week, with Liverpool travelling to Madrid to face Atletico Madrid, while PSG also travel to Germany to face informed Haaland's Borussia Dortmund, all on Tuesday night. On Wednesday night, FC Barcelona will fly to Italy to play Gattuso's Napoli without injured Luis Suarez, Ousmane Dembele, and most likely Jordi Alba, who also got injured in Barcelona's 2-1 home win against Getafe in Spanish La Liga on Saturday. And that's all we have on sports today. Back to the newsroom.
Thank you, Sofian. And on the international scene. acting chairman of the anti-corrupt agency, Malam Ibrahim Magu, has asked United Kingdom to extradite the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Dizani Alison Madueke. Malam Ibrahim Magu made the appeal while addressing reporters on Monday in Kaduna State. He stated that the former minister should be extradited on the ground that she allegedly stole a sum of $2.5 billion belonging to the Nigerian government and must therefore account for it. Malam Magu also claimed that Dizani has a generation of looters supporting her actions, which he said was not good for the image and development of the country. He revealed that the EFCC was already in touch with the international community to facilitate the extradition of the former minister. The EFCC boss, who noted that Dizani was kept under protective custody, spoke to reporters ahead on Tuesday's passing out parade of the Commission's Inspector Detectives at the Nigerian Defense Academy (NDA). He also disclosed that the Commission under his watch has secured a total of 1,266 convictions for financial crimes between 2019 to February 2020. Among the convicted persons, according to Magu, are former governors, captains of industry, former military chiefs, oil subsidy merchants, and other players in the public and private sectors. He added that the EFCC has recovered looted funds running into billions of naira and millions of foreign currencies. The anti-corrupt agency boss noted that the Commission has equally handed over several forfeited properties to government agencies. On the training of EFCC personnel at the NDA, he explained that the aim was to expose the operatives to military drill to effectively groom them in the fight against corruption. The anti-corrupt war, according to Magu, requires perseverance, strength, tenacity, and courage. He said apart from arresting students involved in alleged cybercrimes and internet fraud, the EFCC planned to rehabilitate such persons in order to be useful to their family and the society at large. Still on the international scene, Iran's parliamentary elections are set to take place this Friday, but much of the attention has been on candidates who have been disqualified from standing. More than 7,000 applicants were told they cannot run, including dozens of current members of parliament. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Supreme Court fixes March 2nd to review its judgment in Zamfara State. Senate President calls for unity to address the country challenges. The Emir of Kano has called on Northerners to address the myriad of challenges facing them. On business, where $60 billion claim against IOCS is hard to sell, says NNPC. On sport, Manchester United defeat Chelsea for the third time this season. And on the international scene, the EFCC asked the United Kingdom to extradite a former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Dizani Alison Madueke. That's the news. On behalf of the production crew, Head of News and Current Affairs, Ibrahim Garbatuna, I am Samira Ibrahim, wishing you a pleasant time. Keep watching Standard Voice Television News. Goodbye.